Another day, another widely felt earthquake in California, specifically involving a late magnitude 4.6 earthquake which struck 20 miles southwest of the city of San Jose at 1:41 a.m. local time on April 2, 2026. While this event only lasted for a few seconds and thankfully did not cause any damage apart from causing a few isolated instances of store items falling off of shelves, it was interesting for another reason. It occurred in close proximity to a local fault line which was thought to be inactive, specifically the Ben Lomond fault line which runs through part of Santa Cruz. Yet, despite its physical proximity, I personally do not think this fault line was the origin of Thursday's earthquake. Instead, the fault plane has a decent but not perfect match with the segment of the Zayante-Vergeles fault zone, with the earthquake in question involving motion consistent with a reverse fault. However, with such a modest magnitude, it is also fully possible that the 10.6 km depth epicenter of the quake which struck may have occurred on some yet unmapped buried fault line that was around half a kilometer in length. I consider this to be the most likely possibility. Regardless, compressional forces of some form were to blame, which isn't too surprising given that the boundary of the Pacific and North American plates, marked by the San Andreas Fault, is only 7.5 miles to the northeast. But don't worry, this earthquake is highly unlikely, in my opinion, to have any meaningful effect on the San Andreas Fault. However, it is likely to cause aftershocks of some form, with these being the modeled statistical probabilities that one or more specified magnitude aftershocks will occur in a set period of time. Already, one aftershock with a magnitude of 1.4 has been recorded, but this was too small for anyone to realistically feel, striking about 7.5 hours after the 4.6 quake. Statistically speaking, however, there probably will at least be one magnitude 2 range aftershock at some point here in the next week. Taken on its own, it might seem strange for me to dedicate a video to an earthquake which caused no damage, as after all, there were 41 larger world earthquakes in the preceding 24-hour time span. However, this earthquake was felt by many people in San Francisco, Monterey, San Jose, and Stockton, with up to 10 million people feeling some form of ground shaking. As a result, this particular earthquake ranks in the all-time top 20 with the most user-reported felt reports on the U.S. Geological Survey website, ranking in as number 17 with more than 32,000 such reports. You might note that this list is almost entirely composed of United States-specific earthquakes, and that is because people there are most likely to fill out a form on the United States-specific agency website. Also, older earthquakes are not included because the felt report system was only created in 1999. And anytime a magnitude 4 or larger earthquake occurs in close proximity to the San Francisco metropolitan area, due to the regional population density, I often get a high number of emails and requests to discuss such earthquakes. And that's even though these types of lower magnitude earthquakes are relatively common in the vicinity. I hope that you enjoyed this brief video discussing Thursday's earthquake while I work on a longer video for Saturday. As a final note, I would like to thank this channel's patrons on Patreon and channel members on YouTube for supporting my work.